Have you heard of one Humpty Dumpty? How he fell with a roll and a rumble, and fell off like a doll of a crumple by the butt of the magazine wall.
Welcome to James Joyce's divine and delirious comedy, Finnegans Wake. In this episode, number 3, we'll hear Irish-Canadian actor and my good friend and colleague, Richard Harte, reading pages 8 to 13 of Joyce's last novel, which will include the famous museyroom scene. I'm Adam Seelig, the director of the reading you'll soon hear. Finnegans Wake is a production of One Little Goat Theatre Company. For the next 5 years, One Little Goat will film and record all 17 chapters, roughly 30 hours, of Joyce's Finnegans Wake before live audiences in various locations, screening and releasing them along the way with the aim of completing the entire book in time for its 90th birthday, May the 4th of 2029. One Little Goat Theatre Company is an official charity in Canada and the United States. If you'd like to support our work, please visit us online at www.onelittlegoat.org to make a charitable donation. And if monetary support is not an option, you can still help this podcast by rating and reviewing it and by spreading the word. To get in touch, you'll find our email address on the One Little Goat Theatre Company website, and we'd love to hear from you. Finnegans Wake, in Joyce's own words, quote, is all so simple. If anyone doesn't understand a passage, all they need do is read it aloud. Close quote. True, sound and sense converge in this miraculously lyrical book such that sound is sense. And true, we have actor Richard Harte reading it aloud for us with tongue-twisting virtuosity. But I'm not so sure it's all so simple, as the author once claimed. So I'm going to highlight a few elements in today's reading before we hear Richard read the text itself, beginning on page 8 with the museyroom episode. And again, as I mentioned in the previous episode, if you prefer to hear Richard's reading only without any preamble, please skip ahead and enjoy. We ended episode 2 in this podcast of Finnegans Wake at the top of page 8 in Dublin's Phoenix Park at the entrance to a war museum where Kate is about to give us a tour. One of the novel's recurring characters, Kate, is the museum's custodian, described here as a janitrix, combining janitor with genetrix, an old term for a female ancestor. She leads us into the museyroom, as she calls the museum, and advises us to mind our hats going in. 2 pages later, when the tour concludes, she'll flip this advice into mind your boots going out, suggesting that this tour may actually contain the entire arc of human life from our entrance at birth, head first, to our exit at death, feet first. The action-packed, battle-heavy life we read and experience in the museyroom, like everything in life and in Joyce, can be read and experienced on multiple levels. Or in musical terms, since Finnegans Wake is a massive literary fugue, the museyroom allows us to hear multiple motifs simultaneously. In this case, it's mostly a fugue of feuds, including the ultimate feud of war, the Oedipal conflict of father and sons, the tension between the novel's male protagonist HCE and his bugaboos, which we'll discover in more detail in the next chapter, including the cad, the 2 girls who were possibly peeing in the bushes, and 3 soldiers. And also, because this is Joyce after all, there's the motif of bodily needs and functions, which allows us to hear the museyroom as, I'll quote Brendan Ward, a description of HCE urinating, defecating, and masturbating in the outhouse behind his pub, the Mullinger House, in Chapel Lizard, close quote. To which I'd like to add 3 things about the Mullinger House, which still exists today in the Chapel Lizard area of Dublin. 1, it was established in 1694. 2, it sits right at the edge of Phoenix Park, it backs onto it, so HCE's fictional outhouse would likely have been in the park itself. And 3, most importantly, as of my most recent visit to Dublin in June of 2023, a big banner hangs over the Mullinger's main bar claiming the following, quote, "The Mullinger House, Chapel Lizard, Ireland's best chicken wings." While the museyroom maintains all of these motifs and more, making it a central fable in the novel, I'm only going to tease out the first and most literal one. The museyroom as a war museum, specifically as a museum commemorating the Battle of Waterloo, June 18, 1815, when the Duke of Wellington and his coalition defeated Napoleon, ending 23 years of war in Europe. Kate, our janitor cum tour guide, we'll draw our attention to various historical objects from the battle, including guns, bullets, flags, the three-pointed hat of Napoleon, and a depiction of Wellington's favorite white horse named Copenhagen. In the wake speak of Kate, we'll hear Napoleon as Lipolium, Wellington as Willingdon, and his horse Copenhagen as his white Harse the Copenhagen. Does this turn Napoleon into a linoleum floor on which victorious Wellington walks all over with his wellies? Some readers think so, although Wellington is defeated in Kate's bonkers version of the battle. Allowing for a more victorious Wellington might have been too much for Joyce to stomach, given the English commander's antipathy for Ireland, despite being born in Dublin. As Joyce scholar John Gordon writes, quote, Wellington once remarked that he was an Irishman only if a man born in a stable was a horse, a nasty crack for which Joyce pays him back by making him a harse. And indeed, in the museyroom, it's virtually impossible to distinguish between this man and his equine when what we see repeatedly is his big, white harse. The museyroom episode is also a breakneck viewing of the most prominent structure in Dublin's Phoenix Park, and that is the Wellington Monument, a granite obelisk whose four sides are etched with the names of Britain's many military victories and topped with four self-congratulatory bronze friezes depicting the empire's global conquests. Erected by the British in the mid-19th century and standing at a height of over 60 meters or 200 feet, the Wellington Monument is a veritable erection if ever there was, a phallic monstrosity of which Finnegans Wake makes good use by personifying HCE, among the many things he is, as the city of Dublin, with his head in Howth, feet in Chapelizod, and monumental penis in Phoenix Park. If you're lucky enough to be visiting Phoenix Park one day, read the museyroom or listen to Richard's reading from this podcast by the Wellington Monument. You'll be amazed by how much of the bronze battle scenes and how many of the etched battle names appear in the writing. It's almost as if Kate the janitor is taking us on a tour of this war memorial by riffing on what she sees in front of her, improvising all kinds of wacky pseudo-historical details. Sometimes I get the feeling that Kate is simply making it up on the spot. For all the painstaking details Joyce stuffed into this scene, and for all the conceptual planning he invested in writing it, I'm always amazed by how in the moment and extemporaneous the language feels. No matter how many times I read it or hear it, the museyroom always offers up something new. Then again, that could easily be said of any page in Finnegans Wake. Before we leave the museyroom, I'll mention one tiny word that peppers Kate's speech. Tip. T-I-P, tip. Is Kate angling for a few coins and gratuity from us, her tourists? Tip. Is she alluding to a heap of junk or mound of crap if we use the British English or Irish English definition for tip as a garbage dump? Maybe she's suggesting that the many wars of France, England, and Europe, including the Battle of Waterloo, amount to one big historical dump. If so, she's putting the loo back in Waterloo. Tip. Is this pointed word Kate's way of pointing things out? Is everything she's saying off the tip of her tongue? Tip. Is this the tapered top of the gargantuan boner that is the Wellington Monument? For those who want to read more on the museyroom, and there's so much more to say, I'll link to some articles and resources in the show notes. We leave the museyroom at the top of page 10 and find ourselves on the post-battle battlefield, where the Duke is unhorsed and by the sounds of it, upside down. Scud untorsed is how the text now describes the centaur-like Wellington, Scud being Dukes backwards. Among the post-war detritus, we'll hear some crows and pigeons, and we'll see early intimations of another recurring character, the hen, here introduced as an early bird, or as the text puts it, gnarly bird, gathering various items, quote, into her knapsack, close quote. The war may be over, but this post-war paragraph pays its remembrance with a somber, single-word sentence. Slain. Emerging from the hen are early contours of our female protagonist, HCE's spouse, Anne Olivia Pluribel, or ALP, here described at the bottom of page 11 as, quote, bootiful and how true to wife. And then this paragraph takes on a more resigned or philosophical, or, this being Joyce, horny view of humanity's skirmishes. Quote, Gricks may rise and Troisers fall. combining Greeks may rise and Trojans fall with pricks may rise and trousers fall, but, quote, that's what makes life worth leaving, close quote. And yes, as we read on, Humpties may fall off walls, but hey, there'll still be eggs for breakfast. The following few paragraphs beginning in the middle of page 12 provide us with a zoomed out view of Dublin, a vantage from which we can say, and I'll paraphrase, "So this is Dublin." I'm not sure if we should hear that as a diss or a compliment. I have the feeling Joyce is always happy for us to hear it more ways than one. Richard Harte's reading of Finnegans Wake Chapter 1 was shot and recorded in 2022 in my home in Toronto with a small audience. It premiered at the Toronto Irish Film Festival, European Union Film Festival, and Bloomsday Film Festival at the James Joyce Centre in Dublin. And now it's time to welcome you all back into my home for Richard's continued reading of James Joyce's Finnegans Wake, page 8, line 9 to page 13, line 19 in Chapter 1.
This way to the museyroom. Mind your hats going in. Now yous are in the Willingdon museyroom. This is a Prussia's gun. This is a French tip. This is the flag of the Prussians, the cap and the saucer. This is the bullet that bang the flag of the Prussians. This is the French that fire on the bull that bang the flag of the Prussians. Salute the cross gun. Up with your pike and fork, tip. Bull's foot. Fine. This is the 111 hat of Napoleon. Tip, Napoleon hat. This is the Willingdon on his same white horse, the Copenhagen. This is the big swart of Willingdon, grand and magentic in his gold tin spurs and his iron ducks and his quarter-brass woody shoes and his magnate's garters and his Bangkok's best and his Goliath's galoshes and his pull-upon easy on war trews. This is his big white horse. Tip. This is the 3 Napoleon boy grouching down in the living ditch. This isn't into my skill in English. This is a Scotch grey. This is a Davy stooping. This is the bad Napoleon murdering the Napoleon beg, a Gallagher's argument. This is the petty Napoleon boy that was neither bag nor bug. I say, touch our fist too much, Dirty McDyke and Harry O'Hurry, all of them arming his farmers. This is Dealing Apps. This is Montevill. This is Montipsy. And this is Grandman's Engine. This is the crime line of the Alps Hoop and the shelter shop, the 3 Napoleons. This is the Jennies with their Leghorns saying they're eating their handmaid's book of strategy while making their war on the sides they're willing done. The Jennies is a coo in her hand and the Jennies is a rave in her hair and the Willingdon get the band up. This is the big Willingdon Memorial Telescope wound worker upsides on the flanks of the Jennies. 6 caliber horsepower. Tip. This is me Belgium sneaking his Philippi out of his most awful grin his sunshot Cromwelly looted. This is the Jenny's Hastings dispatch for to irrigate the Willingdon. Dispatching 10 red lines across the shore front to be Belgium. Ja, liebe order. Fear seeker. Field gaze like tiny frau. Hug acting. Nap. That was the tic-tacs of the Jennies for the Fontenoy, the Willingdon. She. The Jennies is jealous agent caught now the Napoleons, and the Napoleons has gone boycotting crazier to the one Willingdon. And the Willingdon get the band up. This is Ball Belgium, Bonnet the Busby breaking his secret word with a ball up to his ear at the Willingdon. This is the Willingdon's heroic dispatch back. Dispatch displayed of the region's rare be Belgium. Salamangra, aye. Cherry Jennies, fig tree ya. Dan Ferry and Filter, Willingdon. That was the first joke of the Willingdon. Tack for tack. This is me Belgium in his 12-mile cow tube, sweet tweet and stamp off foremost, footing a camp for the Jennies. Drink a sip, drank a sup, for he's a sooner buy a Guinness than he'd stay at Star Stout. This is Ruch's Bars, this is a trench, this is Mistletoe, this is Cannon Footed with the Popey Knowles after its 100 days indulgence. This is the blessed Tara's Withers. This is the Ginnies in the Bonnie-Bon Bluches. This is Napoleons in the Rowdy Houses. This is the Willingdon by the splinters of Cork or the fire. Tonnerre! Bull's ear, play. This is camelry, this is floodings, this is the sufferings and actions, this is their mobbly, this is panic burns, almighty God, Arthur's Toulouse. This is Willingdon cry, brum, brum, come brum. This is Ginny's cry, under wetter, gut stripping lambs. This is the Ginnies running away to their house to list down a bunker's heels with a nip, nippy, nip and a trip, trippy, trip so airy for their hearts right there. Tip. This is me bedrooms. Thank you, sir, for play for kitchen the crepes of the cool of his canister. Pour the pay. This is the Bismarck of the Marathon Mary of the Ginnies they left behind them. This is the Willingdon brandishes same memorial telescope selfie teapoy for his royal devotion on the runaway Ginnies. Gambarista della Parca, della Veras Filieras. This is the pettiest of the Napoleons, toffee thief, that spy on the Willingdon from his big white horse, the Cape and Hope. Stonewall Willingdon is an old maximum trumany. Napoleon's is a nice hung bush of ours. This is Hyena Hennessy laughing aloud at the Willingdon. This is Lipsig Dooley, Krieg the funk from the Hennessy. This is the Hindu Shimar Shin between the Dooley boy and the Hennessy. Tip. This is the Wixia Willingdon, picking up the half of the trefoil hat of Napoleon's from out of the blood of filth. This is the Hindu waxing Ranji mad for a bomb shoe. This is the Willingdon hanking the half of the hat of Napoleon's up the tail on the buckside of his big white horse. Tip. That was the last joke of the Willingdon. Hit, hit, hit. This is the same white horse of the Willingdon, culp and help, waggling his tail a scrub with the half of the hat of Napoleon's to insult on the Hindu sea boy. Nay. Bull's rag. Foul. This is the sea boy, madras shatteras, up jumping pump and cry to the Willingdon, Apukaru, Puka Europe. This is the Willingdon. Born stable gentleman, tender as matchbox to the course again, Shimmer Shin. Basuckle you stead. This is the do for him, sea boy. Blow the whole of the half of the hat of Napoleon's off the top of the tail and the back of his big white horse. Tip. Bullseye. Done. How Copenhagen ended. This way, the museyroom. Mind your boots going out. Phew. Ooh, what a warm time we were in there. But how Keeling is here to hereabouts. We know where she lives, but you must not tell anyone for the Lambajigger lantern. It's a candle little house of a month and one windies, down and down, high, down and down. A number quaintly mine. And such reasonable weather, too. The wagering winds a waltz around the piltdowns and on every blasted nolly rock. If you can spot 50, I can spy 4 more. There's that gnarly birdie gathering. I run a little, do a little, pray a little, pour a little, wipe a little, kicks a little, several a little, eat a little, whine a little, ken a little, help a little, pelf a little, gnarly bird. A veritable land of bleak barred fields. Under his 7 rush fields lies one, lump roar, as glad to side him, scud and torst. A pigeon's pair are flown for North Cliffs. A 3 of crows have flapped it suddenly, cracking of the debacle to the quarters of that sky when Tribbles answer, well, 'tis well. She never comes out when Thon's on shower, or when Thon's flash with his nixie girls, or Thon's blowing tomb cracks down the gales of Thon. No. Ne bless on you live. I would be too moochy afraid of bury me leg, bind me rolling eyes, and all the deer in the woe, fee, fo, fum. She just hopes till buys will be buys. Here, and it goes on to appear now, she comes, a peace fugle, a paradise bird, a perry pot mother, A pringle pick in the island is Skippy, with Pee-wee and powwows and baggy on her bicky backy, and a flick flash fleck flinging its pixie light and pecks humour on my bows, picking here, pecking there. Pussy, plunder pussy. But it's the armatized to 9 minute to puckles, and tomorrow we wish for a muddy kismets to the minutiae workers, and there's to be a gorge abstruse for happiness thither everywhere. Come neighbour me and Suso sing the day we celebrate. She's burrowed the culture's headlight, the better to pry. Who goes cute, goes shucker and shoes around. And all spoiled goods go into a knapsack. Cartridges and rattling buttons, nappy spatties and flasks of all nations, clavicures and scapulars, maps, keys, and wood piles of halfpennies and moon-led brooches with blood-stained breeks in them, boast on night garters and masses of shoe sets and nickely knacks, and Father O'Michael and a lovely parsonicates, and howards are mudgers and midgers and maggots, elves and elves with lofts of toffs and plurs of bells, and the last side that come from the heart, buckled. And the fairest sin the sun saw, that's Kjark, with Kiss, Kiss Chris, Cross Chris, Kiss Cross, and do lives end slain. How beautiful, how true to wife of her when strongly forbidden to steal our historic presents from the past post-propheticals, so as to well make us all lordy heirs and lady maidenses of a pretty nice kettle of fruit. She is living in our midst of debt, and laughing through all applause for us. Her birth is uncontrollable, with an apron for her mask and her sabots kicking arias. So Sir, so Sally, if you was ask me, and I suck you. Ooh, Gricks may rise and trousers fall. There being two sides for every picture. For in the byways of high improvidence, that's what makes life worth leaving. And the world's a cell for cities to sit in. Let young women run away with the story. Let young men talk smooth behind the butler's back. She knows her nice duty while Dum-Tum sleeps. Did you save anything? Says he. Did I what? With a grin, says she. And we all like a married Anne because she is mercenary. Now the length of the land lies under liquidation. Flute. And there's ne'er a hair brown or an eye bush on this globulous face of where shut Valda Vetter she'll loan a vest and hire some peat and satch the shores or cockles to heat, and she'll do all a turf woman can to piff the business on. Puff, the puff, the blazing is on. Puff, puff. And even if Humpty shells all frumpty times as awkward again in the beard's blue saloon of all our grand remonstrancers, there'll be eggs for the breakers come the morning, sunny side up with care. So true is it that there wears that turnover that tails red too. And when you think you catch sight of a hind, make sure but your cock by him. Then, as she is on her behaviourite job of Queen Anne's bandy, fruiting for firstlings and taking her tithe, we may take a review of the two mounds. To see nothing of the himbles here as it elsewhere, by sixes and sevens, like so many eagles and colleens, sitting around, scent-breeched and some hot treak, and their swish-wish satins and their taft-tights, playing Horton's Folly at a tree party in the Planco by the Perk. Stand up, Mickles, make streak for Minas, by order Nicholas Proud. We may see and hear nothing if we choose of the short-legged Bergens off of Cork Hill, or the Burgamoors of Arbour Hill, or the Burgagandas of Summerhill, or the Burgatellis of Misery Hill, or the country boss Burgons of Constitutional Hill. Oh, every crowd has its several tones, and every trade has its clever mechanics, and each harmonical has a point of its own. Olaf's on the rise, and Ivar's on the left, and Citrix places between them. But they are all there, scraping along to sneeze out a likelihood that will solve and salve life's Romulus Rebus, hopping round his middle like kippers on a griddle, as he lays dormant from the Macroburg of Hold Hard to the Microburg of Pied de Poudre. Behold this sound of Irish sense. Really? Here English might be seen. Royally. 1 sovereign pond to be 3 pence. Regally. The silence speaks the scene. Fake. So, this is Dublin. Hush, caution, echo land. How charmingly exquisite. It reminds you of the outwashed engravure we used to be blurring on the blotch wall of Zine Kent House. Use they. I'm sure that tyrant table shoveler with a musical chocolate box, Myrie Mitchell, is listening. I say, the remains of the outrun grave mill we used to be blurring, the tolmans of the incubus. Used we. He is only pretended to be stugging at the jubilee half from a second existed listener, Foyby Farley. It is well known. Lock for himself and see the old but new Dublin. WKOO. Here? By the Mausoleum Wall. Fim, 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 fim. With grand fun for all. Fum, 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 fum. 'Tis optophone which antiphanes. List. Wheatstone's magic lyre. They will be tuggling forever. They will be listening for olive. They will be pre-tumbling forever. The harp's discord shall be theirs for olives.
That was my friend and colleague Richard Harte reading from Finnegans Wake, Chapter 1, pages 8 to 13, recorded live in Toronto on August 31st, 2022. Join us for episode 4 in a fortnight when Richard continues with the next 5 pages of Finnegans Wake, including the dialogue of Mutt and Jute. To be sure you don't miss the episode, why not follow or subscribe to this podcast? And for more on One Little Goat's Finnegans Wake project, including liner notes and trailers for the films, visit our website at onelittlegoat.org. Finnegans Wake is made possible by friends of One Little Goat Theatre Company and the Emigrant Support Programme of the Government of Ireland. Thank you for your support. And thank you to the artists for this episode: Richard Harte, sound by William Bembridge, podcast production by Sean Rasmussen, stage management by Laura Lakatosh, rehearsal stage management by Sandi Becker, directed by yours truly, Adam Seelig. Thanks to our live audience of Pip Dwyer, Kevin Kennedy, Kathy Murphy, Nomi Rothbard, Arlo Rothbard Seelig, and thanks to our rehearsal audience of Jackie Chow, Jordy Kaufman, Andrew Moody, and Shai Rothbard Seelig. Thank you to the Embassy of Ireland in Ottawa and the Irish Consulate in Toronto, and to production consultants Kathy Murphy and Andrew Moody. One Little Goat Theatre Company is a not-for-profit, artist-driven, registered charity. To find out more and to join our mailing list, please visit www.onelittlegoat.org. Thank you for listening.